Warning, the following episode contains spoilers for this week's episode of the Grand Tour. If you have not yet watched the episode, go to Amazon Prime now, come back here later and watch the review. Thank you very much for watching, and let's get straight into the video. Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's review of the Grand Tour episode 4, Pick Up Put Downs. As heard in the voiceover, this episode review contains spoilers for this episode, so do what the voiceover man said and go to Amazon Prime, watch the episode, and then come back here later and watch this. To start, the Grand Tour crew this week is in Wales testing 3 European pickup trucks. Jeremy Clarkson in the Volkswagen Amarok, Richard Hammond in the Ford Ranger, and James May in the Mercedes-Benz X-Class SUV with a Nissan spec engine. The 3 presenters then put the 3 vehicles through their paces with a series of challenges. The first challenge is to come up with an energy saving way to power buildings and water plants while also trying to turn seeds. I find this very funny actually, because not only does it provide entertainment, it also puts humour into the whole thing, and that's what I like about it. It's a bit cold, so what I'll do is I'll put my jacket on. Yes, but as I was saying, it provides entertainment through humorous situations, and what is seen is very funny. We have James May trying to power lights hooked up to a barn with the use of an electric motor, which of course is being powered by the back wheels of his car. We have Richard Hammond in the Ford Ranger turning seeds on his field using it's a piece of farm machinery, and we have Jeremy Clarkson using his Volkswagen Amarok as an irrigation system for crops and that. Of which I will leave the trailer for this episode in the info card, which you can view yourself. Moving on then, it's then it moves on to seeing if the cars are good enough to do you remember the statues that they used to, or the bust heads that they used to promote the first series of the Grand Tour? Well, they have made a return to the series, but in this case they are getting rid of them, and that was the next challenge. As always, I think Jeremy went first. Oh no, Jeremy was last. James went first in the Mercedes X-Class, and he had to pull I think it was Jeremy's statue down. Keeping in mind these are big massive heads. And and they had to do it using the least amount of engine revs. James was first, then it was Richard Hammond, and then it was Jeremy Clarkson. The winner of this challenge was Jeremy Clarkson, because he's obviously had to pull Richard Hammond statue on the ground, and taking the mickey out of Hammond, they used a very small statue, hence Jeremy's winnings. So that cleared that up, and then they went on to do another excuse me, they went on to do another set of challenges, but not until they broke into Conversation Street back in the studio. This week on Conversation Street they were talking about Jaguars going electric, the new Bugatti Chiron, and the fact about, I think, the fact that Spitfire won the Nuremberg made it into Conversation Street. I can't really remember, but I do remember two topics. Oh, and they also talked about this week, Jeremy did a review on it, the brand new Jaguar Project 8, of which, if I can find a video clip of it, will be linked in the info card above. I will not say any more there because you have to watch it to see how beautiful the car is. Moving on then, it was back to the pickups, and this time they had to deliver fuel to a helicopter. And this was interesting because they were all given a map. They were all given a map to know where they're going. They all then waited for the klaxon and set off in different directions. James ended up getting lost and ended up being the last person there. Jeremy and Richard decided to go two different ways, but then ended up meeting in the middle, and then ended up racing against each other. And then when they finally got there, Jeremy was first, then Richard, then James. And Jeremy, being Jeremy, he goes, "Oh, my Jeep has definitely won this challenge because my Jeep is a better one," and accidentally ends up blowing up the rescue helicopter, of which can be seen in the official Series 3 trailer, and of course can be seen now on Amazon Prime Video, there for your viewing pleasure. It then ends back in the studio with Jeremy Clarkson and Richard Hammond asking James May if he'd have a pickup. This then takes about a minute of the time, maybe even a little longer, but then James May says he wouldn't have one, simply because he doesn't like them, or because he finds them useless, or because he finds them too big, or because his imagination doesn't stretch that long, doesn't stretch that big to imagine himself owning a pickup that he just stores in his garage and doesn't touch. And then it ends there. Next week the Grand Tour are in Sweden with the testing of the Lamborghini Urus. This of course was teased to us back in March of last year when Jeremy Clarkson was off in Sweden posting a picture to his Drive Tribe on in March sometime, and Instagram and Twitter, saying that he was in Sweden doing some stuff. Tune in then for your episode review of the Grand Tour episode 5, an Itchy Urus, which will be available on Amazon Prime Friday the 15th of February. Until then, goodbye.